Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rusty 78609 in Central Texas. This is December the 22nd. It's probably about 5:15 p.m. in that range, and it's a warm day. The high today was 82, and it's probably 78 or so here right now for this time of the year. That's amazingly comfortable. But as I was getting into, quote, beer 30, it occurred to me that I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube, and I read about, quote, the future, the future, always the future, artificial intelligence, machine learning, neural networks, all these high-tech things that are going to happen, all these medical breakthroughs that are going to make life, quote, better. Well, I got some news for you. Life has always been better, but it was up to you to make it that way. Now, will these things really make life better? Well, it will make life different. You know what I mean? They'll be able to cure diseases that, heart disease and cancer and, all kind of other things, maybe Alzheimer's and all kind of things that affect millions of people, and that's good. Is that better? Well, I guess so in some ways. And, they do organ transplants. They grow organs now, and they do all kind of cute stuff. But that really doesn't matter, because if you can't afford it or your Medicare plan won't pay for it, they can have all the greatest cures in the world, and your life hasn't changed, okay? For right now, if you want a kidney transplant or a liver transplant or whatever, heart transplant or all those things, you're not going to get one. 90% of the population is kind of left out of that equation. I can assure you that. And I'll probably get a little feedback on this, but I don't really care. The truth is the truth. But having said that, again, I'm 73 years old. I've lived 25,000 days, and I don't know how many months, a lot. And I'm sitting here in Central Texas, USA. Again, it's a pretty day, and I was just reflecting on the, quote, future for me, primarily, and, what I might need to do or have to do to enjoy my life and, quote, make it, I guess, better in some ways. But better is kind of a word you can't really put your your fingers on. You know what I mean? You can't just reach out and grab better unless it's cash. Cash is better. Cash will make your life better, and no doubt about that. But assuming that you're not going to be able to do that, then life is what it is. I've lived a long time, in some people's opinions, mine too, and I look back at all the things that have changed in my lifetime. Cars, the cars we had back when I was growing up were crap compared to today. We didn't have phone. I didn't even have a phone. I'm not going to bore you with all the gruesome details, but it was totally different. In fact, if I would have been transferred to this year from 1955, it would have been like landing on Mars or another planet. I mean, I wouldn't even been able to speak the language. I wouldn't have known about megabytes and gigabytes and megahertz and ARPods and smartphones and all kind of stuff. I would have been totally ignorant of that. Is that bad? No, and that's the way it is. And that brings me to the next point. Are all these changes good or bad? You're going to get a lot of argument on both sides. Yeah, the world's going to change for the better. It's going to be so great. Nobody's going to have to work. Robots are going to do all the work. Everything's going to be printed in your home. You'll be able to print out clothes, shoes, whatever you want. You'll never have to go anywhere. You'll just kind of, you can go anywhere you want to, but you go in your mind. You go in virtual reality. See, that's a new thing. That's really, and it's catching on. The better the computers get, the faster they get, the better they're able to do that, and the more people can afford it. And eventually that virtual reality will be the world we live in. And at some point, in my opinion, good beer, not anything else, or good ice water. But the future for that area is, we'll become one with the computer. Now, what I mean by that is, we'll be able to grow organs and transplant them into the human body, and we'll be able to do it with surgeons that are robots, okay? And would you rather go to a robot surgeon or a human surgeon? Well, for me, I'd rather go to a robot, because if that robot has done it one time correctly, then he'll do it, or it'll do it 1,000,000 times correctly, and it won't deviate. Is that good or bad? I hope it is. They're just much more predictable in some ways. The surgeons that we have now, humans, are, they get hangovers and they get sick and they have arguments with their wives and they have a bad day at the golf course and they have a bad day at the office or the bureaucracy they're dealing with, and a computer doesn't. Okay, and a computer doesn't have a bad night's sleep. So that's where that's headed. For me, that just, see, I'm sitting here watching the sunset. Okay. Now, if I was connected to a virtual reality sunset in Bali, Indonesia, or wherever, is that the same thing? In virtual reality, it gets so close you almost can't tell the difference. I've never used it. I've just watched YouTube videos showing kind of how good they are at it, and but to me, virtual reality, it does give you a panorama. They may get to the point where you can pick up smells, or they'll actuate sensors in your brain that will allow you to smell that particular scent and perceive that a little bit better. And eventually they may get perfect, where the sunset that I'm visualizing right now would be the same in virtual reality. But I'm glad that I'm virtually not doing it. Why? Because that's the way I am. But for a 12-year-old kid today, as they grow up into this new world, it's going to be interesting, man. Right now, universities and schools are eliminating textbooks entirely. I think that's good. The only downside of eliminating textbooks entirely is that digitally, you can change words, paragraphs, sentences, meaning in a nanosecond, okay? And all the textbooks for all the students in the United States and perhaps the whole world. Whereas before, those old textbooks kind of hung around, and you could go back and look and you say, wait a minute, that's crap. I mean, back here you said this, and now you're saying this, so you could compare the two. In the future, there's not going to be any future, because as George Orwell says, the people that control the past control the future. In other words, if all the past is changed, and that's the only past because you're young and impressive, is that right? Impressionable, whatever. Then that's the way it goes, And as far as going to Mars, Elon Musk and his SpaceX, I think that's great. I mean, the guy has got a far-reaching mind. He's a physics genius, apparently. I don't know that for sure, but apparently he is the CEO, or was, of Tesla, the electric car, and now he's doing SpaceX and does a lot with solar. He does boring holes for highways and stuff. And so, that's all change. As far as better, it's just change. Sometimes change is what it is. I'm not too sure that change can be measured in terms of better or worse. Maybe it can, but you have to have a measurable, you have to have some way to measure it, better. What is better? But be that as it may, I'm locked on that word better for some reason. But again, this is Central Texas, USA, and I'm looking at, as far as I know, unless I'm in a virtual reality world right now, I'm looking at real trees, real grass, and there were some Texas longhorns here, and it's okay. I mean, it's comfortable. I'm sitting out here in a Gildan T-shirt, and cheapest ones you can buy, as far as I know. And it's the sun's setting. Of course, temperature will drop pretty quick. Low night's supposed to be around 43. But overall, I guess what I'm wanting to convey is whenever, not whenever you or whenever they, that's a strange thing to say. You got that little poem there. The future is what it is. What is it? Que sera. Whatever will be, will be. Well, don't let it go that far. You want to have a little control over your own future. You just don't want to walk around saying que sera, and then somebody runs over you. You want to know that there are highways with cars on them. So, it's okay to be loose about the future, but in my opinion, it's adapt. As things change, become aware of them. Now, you may not need to use them, but you need to become aware of how they are used. Why? Because if you don't, you'll get left behind. Okay, for example, smartphones. There's a lot of people my age that don't have one and won't have one. Why? Well, it's a change they don't want to deal with. They say, well, I can do all these things without that. And you can, absolutely true. But there will come a point in time where you go into a store to buy a product, and if you don't have a smartphone with a certain app, you're not going to get it. Okay? And, as far as, like home delivery for groceries and all that, that's neat. And, is that better? It's certainly helpful for people like me, older and older, because they will home deliver. They charge you a little bit for it, but hell, if that's the only way you can get food, it's not a bad deal. So the future's coming, but to me, it's just another day at the office. It's just life just flows like a gentle little river, and I'm in it in an inner tube. I'm just kind of sitting in an inner tube in life. Let's assume life is a big river or ocean, and I'm sitting here in my inner tube, and I just happen to have a cold cerveza. And it's not bad. It's when you try to resist change or refuse to adapt to change, or you try to change things that maybe you should have left alone. And the old adages that I've heard are true, a couple of them. One is, if you live in the past, you will be depressed. I tend to agree with that. I think we're more negative than we are positive as human beings. We tend to dwell on the negative. Why? Because dwelling on the negative will keep you alive. In other words, you'll be constantly aware that things can go bad, and they can. We're not that positive, in my opinion. That takes effort, and then the next thing, if of course, if you live in the past, you're going to be depressed. If you live in the future, then you're anxious. You know what I mean? If you're just kind of running on the treadmill and you're always leaning and running, that'll wear you out. Living in the present only is difficult. And in my opinion, I think we need to live in all three worlds kind of at the same time. We need to be aware of the past, aware of the future, and be getting going right now. And one of the things that I really subscribe to is absence makes the heart grow fonder. Familiarity breeds contempt. And that happens even on my channel. And what I mean by that is the more you come to know about me, then you start to dig deeper and ask more questions. And there's nothing wrong with that. I do the same thing. It's purely natural. But familiarity can breed contempt. Actually, it does. There's no way to avoid it. And absence makes the heart grow fonder. In other words, if I didn't do a video for several days and I did one, you'd think, boy, that's good. I'm glad he's back. But if I do like 2 or 3 a day like I'm doing now, some people say, that's too many, that's this, that's that. And it's probably true. I don't really care. but I do them because it's a sanity session for me. It keeps me in touch with the universe, and you guys give me feedback in the way of comments and sometimes a card or a letter, or maybe even somebody drives by and says hello. Come on, guys. I mean, when you're my age, that's a treat. And for a lot of people my age, they're not getting that kind of feedback on a daily basis. Promise you that. It ain't happening, because I know too many of them that are basically shut-ins. And but again, be aware that those things are truth, in my opinion. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. True, my opinion. Familiarity breeds contempt. In other words, if you're around somebody or a group of people all the time, even at work, you kind of get on each other's nerves, and that's a perfectly natural thing to happen. Why am I going on about this? I don't know. It's a beautiful day, and I just thought I'd do a video. Will I post this video? I give it about a 50-50 chance, okay? Because I was just sitting here, and I thought, hell, I'm going to talk to myself. I might as well let y'all listen. But anyway, from Central Texas, USA, on a beautiful day in the Christmas season, the holiday season, I'm watching the doves. See, we have white-winged dove here, and they come in this time of the evening and land in the trees. And what they do is they come in one or two at a time, but one of them is like a lookout. And he'll get in the top on a tree limb somewhere, and he's the lookout. And then when the others start to come in, if everything is okay, this individual kind of lets them know that, yeah, it's okay. There's nothing, no danger around. How they do it, I don't know. They have the brain the size of a pea or less, but they're able to do that because then when this person gives the okay, the dove will land in one of these cedars here. Particularly on cold days, they'll find a cedar tree and get cover because it could be cold. But anyway, is that the future? I don't know. Anyway, guys, enjoy your life one day at a time. Thumbs up, carpe diem, adios, bye-bye. Buy anything you want. But if you think about it, use the link to Amazon products in the description of my videos. Why? Because I don't make much off YouTube. I make a little off Amazon, not much. But together it pays for my RVing. Do you care? Probably not. What else? Drink plenty of water, stretch, walk, do whatever you can to enjoy your life. And, as far as the future, don't get paranoid about it because, I watch those YouTube videos, Ray Kurzweil, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and some of the other people that talk a lot about it. And, you can get paranoid. You're going to think artificial intelligence is going to blow you up and it's going to be like some kind of a video game or whatever. I don't subscribe to that. Now, I do believe at some point we will become one with a computer and we will no longer be what I would call human. That's what I say. End of video. Adios, amigos. Let me take off my sunglasses now. And you enjoy your Christmas coming up. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye.